Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Dream Career Talk Show. Today, we all know that everything is digitized, including the healthcare and the insurance industry. Medical inflation is going up every year by 10 to 15%. How can we leverage AI or artificial intelligence for efficiency and cost saving? How can digitization change the customer experience? Is there a way to eliminate fraud, waste, and abuse in insurance? To learn more about digitization, automation, and AI, especially in the healthcare and insurance industry, right? Today we have somebody special who comes with great experience and knowledge in this particular industry. Today's guest, Varun Madiyal, is a digital and data analytics specialist, a storyteller, author, speaker, thought leader, and a mentor in the insurance industry. He has a proven track record of building digital and data solutions for insurers and reinsurers across several entities in the Asian market. Varun holds a master degree in machine learning and artificial intelligence. He is also a certified ENSA mental health first aider of the Pro Mente Sana Foundation. He is currently pursuing his doctoral research in the application of metaverse in healthcare and insurance industry. So Varun, very excited to have you here on this episode. I'm sure it's going to add a lot of value to our audience in the field that they are looking forward for.
Thank you for that. It's a thank you for your warm welcome. So yeah, I've been following your Dream Career Talk Show for a while, and it's definitely adding a lot of value to the community. And today we have a very good session, I believe. So I can add a lot of value to your community, and I can share some of my knowledge. And yeah, I hope we can have a fantastic discussion.
Definitely. And I believe this is something which is very trending right now, right? The topic that we are going to discuss, which is about technology, which is about digitization, especially when it comes to insurance and the healthcare industry, the way it operates, the way artificial intelligence and automation can be used in this. I'm very excited about it. And I know you come with immense knowledge in this field. So, looking forward for some great discussion and the knowledge that people can take back today. So, Varun, before we start talking about how industry operates or how things work in that, let's know more about you. Like, how did you get started on this particular career track?
Sure, Fatah. So, as you said in the introduction, I am a digital and data specialist and AI and metaverse practitioner as well. I help insurance companies to build digital and data solution across the industries. And I also help the individuals to develop a data driven mindset so that everyone can maximize their true potential. I live in Hong Kong for the last 12 years and traveled across 10 different countries in Southeast Asia. Know some brilliant minded people in insurance industry, and also I'm a certified mental health first aider. So I can't complain of my life as of now, but life was not always like this. I was born and brought up in a small village called Shirua in Karnataka. I studied all my primary and secondary education in a work camp. That means I was introduced to the letters of ABCD at the age of 10. So
Oh,
I did my engineering in Nitte University, which was very close to my hometown, and it is covered in a lush green place all over. In 2007, for the first time, I moved from my lush green hometown to the hustle bustle of Delhi. Now, Delhi is not in a good place in terms of pollution and all, but that's a different topic. So I started my career in Delhi, and in 2010, I got a break and I moved to Hong Kong to work for a client. So it was definitely a dream come true for me, coming from a humble background and working in a one of the financial centers of the world. And all this while, I worked in projects where there is a digital and data link. So I did my master's in machine learning and AI, and currently I'm doing a doctoral research in metaverse, especially how we can have metaverse in healthcare. So last few years, apart from my work, I've been helping a lot of mentees to get into the data science and understand data mindset, get into data literacy kind of thing. So today, yeah, I hope I could share some of my knowledge here in this area.
Interesting journey, Varun. That's good to know the way you started from a place where you were like at the age of 10, you got to know about the English alphabets. From there, the way you are speaking today, right? It's amazing. Your conversation style, your language control, and all of that. Plus, of course, the expertise that you have built in data. Right. And I love the term that you used, the data mindset, right? Data driven mindset is something that you use. Now,
Yeah.
how does it help when we are talking about technology and you talking about mindset? How does it help and how is it connected?
Yeah, that's a good question, right? So one thing I notice after being in industry for so long, when we talk about technology, right? So it's like people always say, whenever you bring the new technology, they say, oh, I'm too busy to experiment with that, or they will straightly say no. Okay, so it's not because they don't want to get into implement those new technologies, or bring new tools or technology into their workflow. It's simply because they have no knowledge about how it can add value to them. So for me, the answer is mindset. Okay. It's not like no one wants to bring in new things in life. It's just that they are not aware of the uses of this, how that new technology will empower me, right? So if they don't know that, they will always say, hey, I'm too busy, man. So don't disturb me, right? So that's where I want to create that awareness. Like you have literacy, right? So this is called data literacy. So for me, everyone should understand how data can add value to their work. Because I have seen people in operations, they have been working for years and years and years. They might be doing the same manual work for so many years, right? But these days, there are tools. There are tools for automation. There are tools to help them to make the work faster. It's not making them redundant, but empowering them. So that's the difference. So that is where sometimes people get a bit anxious about trying new things, right? Oh, automation, everyone gets scared. What will happen to my job? What if I say okay, then I may be become redundant, right? That's not true. So that is where it's a two-way communication from the organization as well as the employees, right? So we have to grow. At the end of the day, we have to bring in new tools. So that is where I talk about data mindset a lot. So we have to empower people by making them understand data, AI, all these things are to help them rather than to make them redundant. So I see sometimes, yeah, this is not happening a lot. So it's the duty of both people, right? So the organization as well as the employees. So, yeah, if you have the ignorance about the data and the mindset, then the cost is too expensive. One, as an employee, you are not upskilling yourself, you are not future ready. But at the organization, you are losing money because you are not investing on the automation. You could have done much larger things, much faster things, but you are lagging because you are not implementing those things. So that is where I feel personally this data awareness, data literacy, data mindset is very essential and crucial.
Yeah, I do agree because I think this is the time where everyone is talking about data is the new oil, right? And data analytics and all of these things are something which is trending in the market. But of course, in the technology, fast moving technology space, having that right mindset is the utmost importance. And that's the foundation for anything. Now, when we are talking about data, right, how is it used currently in the insurance and healthcare industry? And how is it getting digitized today in this particular era?
Yeah, so yeah, insurance industry is a traditional company. Okay, so insurance industry is there for years. Some of them started even 100 years back. So
Right.
it's a big journey for them. So that's like from the traditional model, slowly they are building into more advanced digitization. So I see, I was just talking to one of my friends just last week. So he was saying, in one of his friends, so where there was a life insurance claim, unfortunately. So at the time of grief, they just sent a WhatsApp to a customer care, and they just said, okay, this is the policy number, we don't know how to do the claim, and can you please help. Interestingly, every single process happened in WhatsApp, all the documentation sent in WhatsApp. Within a week, the money was credited, and they got a physical mail after 2 weeks, not asking a list of documentation to submit, but to say, we are sorry for your loss and we are with you. That's the customer experience, right? So we have to think also, okay, there is a set of guidelines, rules, and all those things being done. Okay, you have to have a hard copy of this, you have to have follow this, you can't communicate in WhatsApp because this is not secure. So there are some guidelines, but at the end of the day, how we can improve the customer experience, right? How we can break those barriers. So that is where this digitization is helping a lot, especially in healthcare, in insurance. When you submit a claim, so submit a claim is never a good experience. Most of the time, the people who are submitting a claim is already under a huge loss or mental trauma. So you have to make them feel better. So it's not like, I know that some of the insurance companies, they are very strict on the documentation. They ask you hundreds of documents. At some certain times, the patients or the members or people, they simply don't have a physical and mental stamina to fulfill those requirements. So how we
Right.
can help them, right? The empathy, word empathy is very, very suitable for insurance and healthcare. We have to sometimes go off the mile and help them. So that's where, yeah, this digital trends, digitization is helping a lot, especially in the claims journey, as I said. So, with just a touch of a button, you submit all your documentation, you chat through WhatsApp or any other tools. So, instead of calling them in a traditional way, waiting in the customer care hotline for hours and hours. So, that's changing slowly. I'm not saying it's 100%, we have already moved into a different domain, but that journey is happening, that change is happening, which is a good.
Right. Yeah. And I can still recall the way traditional journey of insurance claims was, right? So many documents to be submitted in physical, right? And COVID is the best example of how people not even getting in touch with each other, but still being able to submit that, right? So that's the kind of digitization. But how is the future looking like? Like what is coming forward in terms of digitization, and how AI and all these things can help in terms of in these industries?
Yeah, so one thing, you might have heard, the latest buzz these days is metaverse, right?
Metaverse.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm just giving a futuristic view here. Metaverse is definitely a buzzword as of today, but at the same time, internet was a buzzword in 1980s, right?
Yes.
So we have come a long way in 40 years when the internet was born. So for me, metaverse is also just at the baby steps. We have to. This is a journey for next 40 years. So there, metaverse is okay. Currently, it's still a conceptual stage. uh, it is a concept where there are underlying technologies, okay, various technologies, like for example, you have a blockchain, you have 5G network, you have AI, VR. So all these technologies will work together in a technological singularity called metaverse. So this is, I can say, like from healthcare perspective, right? So sky is the limit. So I can give couple of use cases here, like for example, someone is getting treated for terminal illness, or physically they are not able to move around into different places, so they are stuck in their bed for days or sometimes even months, right? So metaverse can help them to create the experience where they are meeting their friends, family, with just wearing that headgear. They may feel like, okay, I'm running a marathon, right? They might be feeling the sound and noise of the talk show, or even a rock show, anything for that matter. This is the experience they will get, otherwise they are stuck in the bed. So at the same time, on the treatment side, right, so you have the infrastructure where a specialist consultation happening, where a doctor is placed miles away. So you may ask the patient to go to a nearest metaverse healthcare center, where a specialist doctor is sitting in, say, US market, and they can have a proper dialogue, just like how someone is sitting in a room, right? They can have a proper diagnosis, they can get to know more about the patient. So it can also help in, like, say, psychiatric treatment, or speech therapy, physiotherapy, rehab center, where you need to have that physical connect, right? But at the same time, during COVID, we all know that healthcare infrastructure is not like infinite. We have to make use of, okay, we have the technology, we have the infrastructure, but there should be an optimum use. So for that, metaverse may be an answer, because both patient as well as doctor don't have to travel miles and miles. So they can be in a single place, they can communicate, so they can talk. So yeah, these are few of the things which I feel will go long ahead in days to come. As we talk, as we move forward, there will be new opportunities, new use cases will come for sure. But yeah, this is, I personally feel, as of today, metaverse is still a buzzword. But if we really focus a lot, if we try to find the answers, it can solve a lot of problems in future.
Yeah, when you were speaking about this use case, I could already visualize that how actually things can change in the future with technology, right? Especially when metaverse being used in this healthcare domain, how it can change things for us. And when we are looking at in terms of different things in metaverse area or in healthcare, now one of the challenge that I understand from the insurance industry is the claims, right?
Yeah.
That's where there is a fraud also that happens today, right? So how does the technology help in terms of reducing any fraud in terms of this healthcare or insurance industry?
Yeah, so that's a good question, because whenever we talk about the healthcare and insurance, the cost of insurance, the premium, what we call, is getting more and more expensive. So, especially in healthcare, the cost of medical inflation is getting expensive by 10 to 15% every year, year on year. So, at the same time, we have fraud or wastage or abuses happening. We I gone through some reports. As per that, it's around 20% in Asian market. So we have fraud, right? So what does it mean? You are not giving the legitimate claim to the right party, so there are 20% leakage happening, right? So at the same time, 10 to 12, 10 to 15% medical inflation is going up. So how do we balance so that the premium doesn't go up? If we don't balance one of them, then the cost will be borne by a legitimate person, right? So the premium will keep on increasing. So then you are making a larger population who could not afford the healthcare, who could not afford the premiums, who then they will not buy the insurance. So then they have to pay a lot of out of pocket money, then they will be in debt, huge debt. Especially in COVID times, we have seen the medical bill can go in lakhs and even crores, right? So that is where insurance is very important. So to make sure that insurance is affordable, we have to control the fraud, waste, and abuse as well. So ultimately, it is linked. If you are keep on paying more and more claims, the premium will go up, because ultimately it's the business, right? The insurance companies are not NGOs, they have to make money also. So that is where these days automation, AI is helping to identify some of the trends. Okay, there might be some fraud claim might have been submitted, the document, right? So if I am a human who is the adjudicator of the claim, it might be too difficult for me to identify whether it is the legitimate claim or not. Is it coming from the right hospital or not? So if I have the technology, right, then it can try to connect, okay, whether this address is the right address or not, legitimate address or not. So it can actually, the system can give the alert to me, hey, this looks like a fraudulent claim, can you further investigate? So if there is no red flags at all, then it can automatically pass through. So at the same times, maybe insurance policy might have been expired, but the claim might have come after that. So for a human, it's a big effort to check all those variables. There are over 100 and 150 variables someone need to check for a medical claim. So how we can empower people so that they don't have to go through that manually? So we can have rules in the system where you feed those rules, then system will say, it will give the output, okay, this is not passed, look into it. So instead of going through all those different scenarios, every claim, you will only be filtering out, right? You only need to look into that where there is a red alert. So your effort is saved. So the effort saved means you can give better customer experience. So insurers can use those manpower to give better solutions, better services, better products. So this is all a balancing act. So I feel, yeah, technology is helping, especially the automation and AI. Similarly, AI, machine learning, so it will help to identify the trends, okay, past few years this is the trend. It will also help you to forecast, okay, in future your claims might be in this range, right? So then you try to identify, okay, how I can improve that, okay, if there can be an early detection. Say your claim is coming from a particular diagnosis, okay, let's say some type of cancer, then how we can avoid that? So you go back and check, okay, there can be a screening, right? So you can do early screening for all your policy holders, so that some of the things can be detected much earlier. It will also be beneficial for the people, it will also be beneficial for the insurance companies, because late detection means you have to spend more in recovery. Sometimes the recovery may not even happen. So that's where the prevention is key here. So prevention can happen with the help of technology. So yeah, massive growth has happened in last few years, and it is going to happen more and more. So but yeah, it's kind of a revolutionary in insurance market, which is otherwise treated as a very very traditional business.
Right. And now, when you talk about this, the way digitization and all is helping, this is the what, right? How is it happening? Like, are there any applications, the tools? Like, when you talk about AI, right? How does AI operate in terms of, is there any data already fed, right? Based on it, it is actually reading certain algorithms. Or when you talk about automation, right? How are the systems being automated today? Can you talk about that a bit in terms of the technology, how it is being used today?
Yeah, so definitely. So for there are various different types here, right? So first is, okay, we talk about automation. The first thing of automation is feeding the data into the system. So most of the insurance companies in Asian market, they didn't have the infrastructure to even store the data. Okay, because medical insurance is all about the documents, right? The reports,
Right.
handwritten documents, and everything. So you need massive amount of effort to manually feed that data into system. So most of the times, what happened? They never feed those information in the system. If the data is not in the system, then forget about machine learning and AI. There is no data, what you will do? So the
Right.
first thing is to crack how you extract the data. So for that, OCR has been very beneficial, right? So
Right.
even in OCR, there are two things. One is you recognize the printed characters, which is easier. Okay, you recognize what is A, what is B, what is C. But at the same time, in medical Medicare, you also have a lot of handwritten documents. So how do you read that? So for that, deep learning will help in OCR. So you, instead of identifying each character, you try to do a deep learning and apply AI models to understand the meaning of that word or a sentence as a whole. Okay, so that will actually help to extract the data better. So when you have more extraction capability, you have millions of paper documents coming every year, which you can feed into the system easily. So that's the first thing they try to solve. And I'm happy that in OCR there is a lot of advancement. Even the handwriting have been able to crack actually these days. So just few years back it was only printed forms, but nowadays, yeah, we have the deep learning, and I use neural networks to understand entire handwritten characters. So there are a few companies also who is actually providing those tools and services. So that's the first thing. Okay, you solve the data problem, right? You feed the data into the system. So now you have the data. Now you build the rules. Okay, so you, as I said, the scenarios, you have 150, 200 scenarios where you have to check the claim, right? So that you build the rules. So the rules can be, okay, a plus b equal to c, or a is not equal to b, that kind of rules. Okay, you check, okay, what's the premium paid date, what's the claim incurred date. So those kind of simple rules, it can be simple, but a combination of all rules working together is actually having a compound effect. So that is where the rules will help in adjudicating those claims. So once that rules is done, you have then machine learning models, right? So can it have some combination of internal data and external data? Like for example, I know that few one of the company is working on your digital asset, digital profile. Okay, so sometimes in some developing countries, you have a lot of fraud claims in terms of death claims. They buy the insurance, and within few months they will submit a death claim. Okay, but what they do is they try to get digital profile, whether the phone number associated with this person is active or not, the social profiles like Facebook or Twitter, whether that is active or not. Otherwise it is very difficult, right? It's kind of scary, but they make use of, it's not invasive, but they still try to find a way, okay, just to get the alert, okay, is this active or not, right? So that will help to eliminate the fraudulent claims, because what we are trying to save here is save the money so that you can pay the money to a legitimate claim, where a person who is really in trouble, they need to pay that hospital bills. So we are trying to help them, correct? So this is where the machine learning model will help, and the AI model will help to do a dissection of your internal data and external data. So
Right.
that is
But
the,
one question, sorry for interrupting you here,
sure.
because this question is popping up to me.
Yeah,
Right. One question I see as a concern also is when digitization is increasing, right?
yeah.
So is it also opening more opportunities for fraud, or is it going to reduce fraud? And how is that going to happen? Because, of course, when a lot of digital people can hack that data and all of it, right? So how do you see that in terms of the future, or today, how is it being used?
Yeah, that's a brilliant question. Actually, the answer is there is never a saturation, because it's a cat and mouse game. Okay, so the fraud will keep happening. You try to plug one item, there is new opportunity for the fraudster to create that new avenue. So that is where it is never, okay, I reached the saturation and that's the done and my system is foolproof. That can never ever happen. So it's always, okay, you try to plug a loophole and you keep looking for the future loopholes, right? So that yeah, I can say, as soon as far as we are going ahead in the digitization, there will be new avenues of frauds, and we have to keep continue to find out those. So yeah, definitely that's a good question. And yeah, my answer is there is never a saturation. You always be on the edge, always be on the toes.
Right. Yeah, agreed to that. And of course, like there are a lot of technologies that actually help you in terms of preventing those cyber attacks and all. Now, one thing interesting that I have seen, Varun, is like some apps, like we have the lot of apps today with which are working on the healthcare, right?
Yeah.
Especially apps like Healthify, when we see that they are using those sensors that can be used like wearables or sensors that are being added so that it can give that data, right? So how is this working, and how this can actually help in terms of creating more meaningful data, and how is it being used today?
Yeah, so I have my variables, and these days, many people are having those variables, right? So, as per one of the count in 2016, the variable count was 325 million in the world, and as
Wow.
of 2022, it has increased to 1.1 billion, and it is
Wow.
growing at the rate of 25-30%. So what does it mean? 1.1 billion digital health profile. Look at the magnitude of that. So we have to be careful how we utilize this data, right? So that is where yeah, like for example, Apple, I'm a huge fan of Apple. So they never disclose that digital profile outside Apple. Okay, it is always stored in your secured environment. So that's that. I'm sure even others are also trying to do that, but we have to make sure that okay, this is relevant and helping the customers, right? So there are a lot of alerts these days. For example, fall detection. So if you are, there are sensors, right? So the sensors will identify, okay, if there is a sudden push or pull or fall, so it will identify, say, hey, it looks like you have fell down, are you okay? If you don't respond in few seconds, it can automatically create that emergency alerts to your loved ones. Okay, so similarly, nowadays the wearables can also track the your heart rate monitoring and the glucose monitoring as well. So as soon as there is a spike, sudden spike, which is not regular, it can also create that emergency alert kind of thing. So here definitely it is saving a lot of lives. Of course, one is fashion, you also see the time, but there is a more than that, it's all about how it will empower the people. So for example, I am actually tracking my sleep for last few months actually. So I used to sleep
Interesting.
very less and used to get stressed in work, right? So but now I make sure that okay, I track my sleep patterns. So what is causing me, can I try to sleep at the right time? So even it will keep the alert saying, hey, this is your sleep time, right? So otherwise we get used to it. We browse YouTube or LinkedIn, we don't know what's the time, and we may actually reduce our sleep. So the technology is there to help us, but yeah, at the same time we have to make the most of it. So it's not just cutting down the alert or not seeing the what's happening. So we should also, it's the responsibility is also on us, how we make use of those.
Right. And since insurance and this is like been a traditional industry, right? So today still we see a lot of places when we go to the hospitals or insurance providers. There's a lot of Excel work that keeps continuing to happen, right? There are still some softwares where it takes like minutes at least to fetch that data. So how is this evolving and what is the future looking like when you talk about again data?
Yeah, so earlier I was answering about the various aspects of data extraction rules and AI, right? So the final part for that is the reports, the dashboards, right? So because we have to track what's happening in any industry, right? Even P&L we track in a business. Even a shopkeeper knows what's the incoming, what's outgoing, what's the profit and loss. At the same time, how do we track data? So especially all these traditional companies, data coming from various different sources, it is not at the same format, it's a huge mess, right? So that is where uh, Excel has been doing fantastic job, but Excel also need to you have to be an expert in Excel, right? To apply those rules, macros, or even the reports, to build reports. Of course, today most of the people know about Excel, but it's all about how fast it can process the data. If there is a millions of data, then Excel will give up, saying I can't do it. So that is where you have the BI tools these days. So BI tools can help actually to process the data faster, right? So you have many Tableau, Power BI, Click, all those different tools. So I keep saying to everyone, so this is not only for the IT people or the developers or coders. So how Excel, MS Word, everyone uses. So this Power BI, the BI tools will also be end user game. So everyone should be aware how to use that, how to make use of that for their day to day operations, because it will actually be helpful to read the data faster in a most advanced way or a more structured way.
Right. And of course, when we talk about data today, Varun, the other big challenge is there is so much of data, right? Huge data that is being collected. But how is like data being used in a meaningful way? Like what kind of technologies and tools, and how, especially in the insurance industry, healthcare industry, again, there is huge data that is collected. How is actually that getting converted into meaningful data and the inferences from there?
Yeah, so this is about all about the data cleaning also, right? So you have a lot of unstructured data in different forms, different types. So then you convert into a structured format so that you have multiple sources, multiple variables. Then you combine them so that it can be used in tandem, so that you can get a meaningful result out of it. So Python and R been fantastic tools to write the course to segregate those data and then feed into BI tools, where actually you can actually then get a proper structured reporting and interactive dashboards. So these days you may hear that more and more people are using Python and learning Python, so that yeah, you can actually make better use of it in a much easier way. It's not the programming language is relatively easier compared to some of the other programming languages, and it has wide range of applications in many places, many tools you can actually do a Python programming as well. So that is where yeah, you are actually converting all of those unstructured data into a proper structured data which you can use.
Okay, and all these people who have to do that should be a specialist, I believe, because you are using a lot of languages there. You're talking about Python or R and all. So they should be the coders. They should be coming from the coding background, basically.
Not really. That is where you might have relatively hear more and more about low code and no code platforms these days.
Right.
So, in fact, there is one of the tool which you can actually help to create an entire AI model with just configuration, right? So that is
Hmm.
where yeah, the age of hardcore programming and all is moving into a UI UX type of interfaces, where actually you need to understand the business, okay, what you need to get into, right? So it's not only about the technology but also understanding the business. So that's where the low code and no code platforms have been used these days, and everyone is actually investing a lot, so that okay, a person coming from a non IT background, a person coming from a non tech background, how he can actually, he or she can apply them, how they can actually use these tools and use it for their benefit, right? So that's where definitely no code low code platforms will be future. And I see more and more uh, companies are pumping a lot to make their platform code free. That's the right word, because if you remember, Fatah, few years back, even to build a website you need to do a HTML coding, right?
HTML code.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
nowadays you have tools there. You just need to select your plugin or the
Templates,
format.
and then you
Yeah,
just use
so
it.
that's the advancement. Similarly, in AI models, also same thing is happening.
Yeah, I know. And when it comes to like, so this does that mean that a lot of non-IT professionals are also getting huge opportunities in the field when they can get into these kind of IT related or IT connected fields like data, data specialization, or getting into data mining and other things?
Yeah, definitely. So as I said, the foundation is still important. You need to understand the basics, right? So without that nothing can work. So you still need to understand what you are trying to do, what you are trying to achieve, what is your problem statement to solve. So if you are clear with that fundamentals, then it will help you to do that faster. Instead of writing a 1,000 line code, you can actually do a simple configuration to set up a model, right? But you still need to know what that model is used for, what problem I'm trying to solve here. So that is where people can get into this field much faster, but at the same time their foundation and the fundamentals should be very strong. So that is where it's important to know that, but you don't have to be a master developer or a programmer. So that's the gap is reducing. You need to understand what it is, That's what I call the data awareness, right? So
Mhm.
data literacy is all about that. You need to understand it so that you will be able to use those tools to your advantage, but not
Right.
spend hours and hours in doing the coding.
Yeah, I agree. So basically, you're telling that the time is less that you utilize to now learn the skills, but of course, having that foundation very strong is important, just like any other field for that matter.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. One I just want to add here. At the same time, the domain is also very important, Fatah. Like, for example, I know that, okay, you may have a very good skill in coding or programming or using some of the BI tools. But at the same time, you should also know your domain, like healthcare or retail or pharmaceuticals. So, or agricultural, finance, or you need to be a master in those domains also, because otherwise what happens, you know all the tools and technology, you have the resources, you have everything, but you don't know what problems you are trying to solve, right? So that is where I'm saying we need to bridge the gap of a business user and an IT professional. Both of them should know each other. So now the gap
Right.
is, you have a very talented IT professional out there who don't know how the business works, or you have a very good business user who don't know how they can use AI or technology for their advantage. So that is where you have to make use of that both, right? So that's where you need to understand the domain. At the same time, the business user need to understand how the technology will help them. So otherwise, yeah, it is very difficult. You have, even though you have the all the tools and talent and everything, you are not solving the business problem out there.
Right. Completely agree with you. Like it has to be like both the business skills and the technology skills that will help you. And today, because the kind of technology that we are working on, it is bridging that gap in less time, right? So people who are ready to do that. Now, one
Correct.
thing is, of course, we see that Excel and these tools have been used for a long time now, right? And we have a lot of capabilities even in Excel, like building some charts, some graphs, right? Bringing up VLOOKUP, where you can filter your data, where you can look at different things, right? That is something that people are used to. I agree there is a mindset shift that you spoke about that has to come, but there are so many tools that are coming in today, right? Like BI you're talking about. How differently can that be used, or what is the other advantage when you're using these tools, right? Because there is an investment of cost also that comes in.
Correct, correct. Yeah. So just to be clear, I'm a huge fan of Excel. So there is no love lost on that. But what I'm saying is, everyone should know Excel. That's the foundation, right? So, but at the same time, there are some limitation. As I said, okay, if you have millions of data, then Excel will give up. Or even to build a dashboard, it's not meant for the dashboard. It's meant for the calculation, right? You can
Mhm.
still get the dashboard and everything done, but if you want to share it with someone, it becomes a problem. How do we share that? So here you have the BI tools, which will also, you can use Excel as the base file to load. In fact, you can do some data manipulation or data masking or massaging, all those things in the BI tools. And then it can be more interactive, it can be more fun to use. It is like a game, right? So it's not a task, it's like a game. And you will be able to understand the data much better, much faster, and the refreshing also will become easier. So one more advantage is sharing. You can simply share a link. One can open in the mobile, one can open in the website, and one can even play around in the website. So even though they don't have the access to the backend data, right? So, and you are in the control. You can share in the public or you can share in private. So without even sharing the entire Excel. So that is where, yeah, I see down the line it will be more and more, people will use these BI tools, like Power BI, Tableau, all those things. And yeah, it is never meant for only the IT professional or tech professional. It is meant for everyone to use, and everyone should be familiar how to use them, how to understand the data from them.
Right. And when you say BI and Tableau, right, business intelligence and Tableau and all, for them the backend would still be somebody storing things in Excel, or how does it operate? Like you are uploading the data on these tools directly, like still dependencies there on the older platforms and the databases?
Yeah, Excel can also be one of the sources, but not necessarily Excel is the only source. It can also
Hmm.
directly get it from the database. It can also get it from any of the sources. There is a flexibility to pick the data from any of the source. In fact, it can merge from different sources and then you combine in the tool itself. So yeah, that's the flexibility. But say someone is using, some organization is using the Excel, they have the data, everything streamlined, then they
Hmm.
can use that itself to upload and then build the BI tools there. So it's not required to re-engineer everything. We can make use of that existing whatever
Data
tools
source.
they have built,
Yeah.
then they can use it. Yeah, that's the
That's
advantage actually.
interesting. That's interesting. When you already have an existing data source, or even if you have to merge between different data sources and bring it together. Now, if somebody is not good, like you are somebody who loves Excel also, right? But if somebody is not good at Excel formulas, those macros and all, can they skip that step and still build their capabilities on BI and Tableau and still expertise and get into this field?
Oh, obviously. Actually, that's why I said Excel, you need to know how to even open or close, but it's not necessary you should know about the macros or coding and all those things. Actually, all these BI tools can help to bridge that gap already, right? So if someone is not good at even using Excel, they can directly jump into BI tools. In fact, data cleaning is one of the important steps in any of that activity, right? So in
Right.
Excel, what happens? You have a series of data cleaning activity, but after a month, you forgot what steps you have done, cleaning you have done, what columns you have deleted, added, or removed. All those things are gone, right? But
Right.
some of these BI tools, not all, some of them even have a data preparation guide, actually, right? So actually, it will show the series of activities you have done. So it will show like a workflow. Okay, so you have deleted, you have modified this field, and the workflow can be copied and given to another person. Hey, this is the workflow I used for this particular data set. You can simply copy that data set to another person, and that person can make use of it, make a modification in the process flow. So yeah, this is fantastic according to me, and it has actually come in last 1 year. So yeah, it's been very good in terms of even the data cleaning, which is actually spending 80% of your effort in data cleaning when you prepare any dashboard. So yeah, how to make it useful, how to make it easier, how to make it like a documented format, that's the key here. And yeah, they have cracked that code as well. So that's where I keep saying, yeah, this is very good, and for us definitely it's a future to look into.
Right. When you said future to look into, yes, of course, there are a lot of opportunities, and this is the futuristic job opportunities also when you look at this, right? This is growing, and people want to get into data analytics. They want to be data scientists. But one big question always comes is, do we still need to be a good coder or a programmer if we have to become a good data analyst or a great data scientist? So, what is your answer around that?
Yep. So the good is subjective according to me. If you ask me, I started in IT and I was never a good programmer, right? And I still remember there used to be hundreds of errors in compilation, and one of my seniors used to support me, help me in understanding that. In fact, yeah, if you are going through the pain, it is good for you to understand. But the thing is, again, you need to understand the fundamentals and basic, but you need not be a pro in that particular programming language. So you need to be street smart to identify where are the resources, where you have to look into it, and what's the use case, right? So these days, yeah, Google is definitely everyone's friend. So you don't have to write everything from your own mind, right? You can actually reuse some of the packages, softwares, or even functions. So that's where you need to understand the basics, but don't worry if you are not a pro in certain programming language. You can still grow. So it is all about applying the learnings into connecting the dots, right? So it's no need to be, yeah, super good in one particular field, but you need to understand the basics and fundamentals.
Right. And apart from this, understanding the basics and fundamentals, if somebody wants to enter into this field of data, right, the data analytics, especially if you have to include about insurance or healthcare industry, What are the other things that they need to be aware of, or the knowledge that they need to gain to get into this particular field?
Yeah, okay. So yeah, before into insurance, yeah, they need to know. Okay, as I said, technology part, right? So if you are specifically talking about data, then yeah, of course they need to understand the basics of Excel. They need to understand what is data science all about, what is data cleaning, how data will work, what are the different tools out there for data cleaning, then the data visualization. So what are the different tools out there for the data visualization? So then if they want to master themselves, then okay, they can learn about the AI tools also, how to build the model, what are the use cases of the models, then the domain. Okay, so that is where domain is also very key. So my suggestion for all those budding technology enthusiasts, you should also keep the domain in focus. Okay, are you focusing on healthcare, are you focusing on retail, are you focusing on finance? Because if you have that business knowledge, then your technical knowledge can do a compound effect of 100x, because you are directly solving the problems of the business, right? So otherwise, I have personally experienced, so there are people who are extremely good at the technology side, but they don't know how they can support the business in solving the problem. So that is where it is a combination of all. So then yeah, you will be like a very good package to solve for the industry.
Yeah, okay. And any step by step process that you have that can help people to actually grow from starting from, like, even if they have just started their career, right? Starting from here to getting to become that data scientist, like, what is the path that is there, and how do they actually go through a step by step process?
Yeah, so definitely there is a definite path actually to
Let's take
understanding the next.
any industry as an example. Let's take healthcare as an example. And somebody wants to become a data scientist, and healthcare is the specialization that they are more of domain knowledge. So, what
Yeah.
is the career path for them, and how do they look at it in terms of step by step learning process?
Yeah, so the statistics is the foundation actually, right? So irrespective of the domain, so they have to understand the basics of statistics. So then slowly they have to move into okay, advanced statistics, understanding the models, AI, those kind of thing. At the same time, so there are two paths there. One, you want to be a data scientist, or you want to be a BI specialist, right? So there are many more different paths, but these two are key actually. So based on that, you design. Okay, you
Can you
can.
differentiate between these two parts, like what actually happens in these two parts, maybe in a brief?
Yeah, so if you are actually looking into a data scientist, then it's talked about the predictive models, right? So you are actually doing a programming for the different models, which is predicting the future based on the historical values, the machine learning predictive models. In BI, you are actually learning how to connect those data, how to do the data cleaning, and then focus more on the visualization. Data cleaning is still required for both, but then how do you use that data? So one is okay, you can actually use for visualization purpose, try to get the insights, and then try to suggest okay, what's the gap and how to solve that gap. So here in the models, you are trying to solve a specific use cases. Okay, you are trying to create an alert for FWA, or you are creating a forecast for the future. So that's the slight difference path. So yeah, one can do both if they are interested, but yeah, I think if you are an expert in one particular area, that is good. But at the same time, yeah, understand about healthcare and insurance. What are the different products? So how the products are working, how the services are working. So in fact, for insurance, there is a institution called Loma, where there is a 10 different certifications. One can also learn into that. That's more from the life insurance point of view. But yeah, for healthcare, yeah, you learn about the different products, services, digitization. Reading is the key. So you have to keep learning. Even I am keep learning every day because I have to be future ready, right? So there are so many new things keep coming, so many advancements coming. So everyday reading, everyday upskilling is a foundation.
Right. And when you said reading is a key and you are also learning, right? Right. Recently, you started learning on metaverse. Now, how is metaverse connected with the data world in terms of if somebody is looking at a path of becoming a data scientist. How does he or she connect this particular thing, like the technology, like metaverse, with data?
Yeah, so as I said, metaverse is definitely it's still a buzzword, but the underlying technology is all there, which is actually developing for last couple of decades already. Like for example, you use blockchain for storing different documents, right? Like in healthcare, you have the documentation, right? So you have to manually index the documents, but you can use blockchains for indexing, which can be foolproof, so that you can use that technology there. And for payments, for example, you can use crypto. Uh, and for example, if you want to do a customer service engagement modules, you can use AR or VR kind of thing to create that atmosphere. And of course, you use AI to create some alerts, you create some forecasting, and you have the automation where actually you can fast track some of the things. So it's the combination of all those things. So if you are an expert in one of those areas, stick to that, because you will actually be
Hmm.
able to help to build the metaverse.
Right.
Definitely metaverse is a combination of different technology. One cannot become a masters in everything, but like as I said, healthcare, right? So then healthcare, metaverse, then one of these technology can be a combination. So yeah, we still don't know how this will shape up, although recently Facebook got a lot of negative publicity for their not so good metaverse world. But for me, yeah, even before you invented the bulb, 99 times someone failed, right? So
Right.
it's, yeah, trial and error, trial and error. Yeah, we are actually trying to build that for future. So you never
Yeah.
know how it will shape up.
Exactly. But I love that golden tip that you gave to the audience, that metaverse is the entire whole world together. This is where everybody is actually moving towards. But don't look at it like mastering everything under that. Pick up one segment, maybe like a data analyst that you want to become, a BI expert, or maybe you want to become a data specialist. Like, what do you want to become, or what is that you want to pick up, like automation, and then master that field that can help them and understand the entire world in terms of a little overview about it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is a good conversation. I think we had some good conversation around data and how data can be looked at it. So to ask you the last question, I would ask you is like, how do you see the future of this in terms of for all those people who are trying to build their careers in this?
Yeah, go for it. That's my comment, right? So when you go for it, don't think there is a saturation. It's a journey. Okay, you start somewhere and you start every day, you walk every day and keep learning. So as I said, even I am learning every day because there are so many advancement happening, right? So that's where, don't lose the focus. Don't treat it as, okay, I'm learning for something, money or career promotion, all those things. You learn for yourself, because have passion inside that, right? So that is where you should know, okay, healthcare, what you are doing, you are actually trying to help a people in need, right? So there are a lot of people who are actually need of that money because they can't afford that. So you should have that end game in mind, how you are connected to the people, right? How you are connected to the universe, right, at the end of the day.
Right.
So if you
Right.
have that mentality, then you will know, okay, how important it is for you to learn this, because ultimately you are trying to solve a problem for greater humanity.
Exactly. I love that message because, yes, keeping that end goal in mind and understanding the big picture, right? If you are getting into any field, look at it whether you're passionate about it and how you are actually going to impact the world through that. And of course, money and success is the byproduct of it, right? And Varun, it clearly shows your passion for this particular field, right? Data and in terms of the digital and the way you have got this expertise. And I know that you are actually sharing a lot of this and then coaching people around this as well. If people have to connect with you, like where can they connect with you? Is it like LinkedIn, Facebook? What kind of platform, or how do they reach out to you?
Yeah, I love to interact with people. So I've been talking to a lot of people, trying to exchange the ideas. And a lot of mentees are asking, okay, how I can get into this field. And yeah, LinkedIn is my go-to platform. So yeah, definitely lot and lot people are interacting with me. And yeah, I am actually very happy to talk to people. So yeah, they can reach out to me, and whatever help support I can do from my end, yeah, I'm willing to do that.
Right, and you are coming up with your book as well. Do you want to share about it? What is the title of your book, and when can people expect this so that they can grab their copies as well?
Yeah, so so I never publicly announced it, but yeah, because now probably I will be more pressurized to launch it soon. So the title of the book is Data Mindset Magic. So where I am actually talking about how to create that data awareness and how to bring in more people into the data arena. So I am putting all my experience and the framework for people to get into understanding the data, so it's not making them data scientists, but even a person with non-technology platform, non-coder, how they can understand data better. So yeah, stay tuned for the launch. So I'm busy writing those chapters, so hopefully yeah, we'll launch very soon. I will announce it, yeah, soon.
Yeah, great. Nice to know that, and looking forward for that. And thank you for being here. And for people who are listening to us live or later watching on the recording, of course, Varun is clearly passionate about the technology, and he has built his expertise around that. So anybody looking to learn or to grow in this particular field, you can reach out to Varun. He's very active on LinkedIn, and you can, of course, like grab his copy when it's coming out as well, the book, right? And learn from him if you are looking forward, because this is something that you need to do, because you need to find a coach or mentor who is passionate about that, who can help you with his experience and expertise. So that's what Varun can do for you if you have to make your magical beginning, or make your like career path in terms of accelerating that in the data field. Then Varun can guide you there. So thank you, Varun, for being with us and sharing your knowledge and expertise with the audience today.
Yeah, thank you for that, thank you for this opportunity.
Great. And thank you, everyone, for being with us live or later who are watching on recording. I'm sure this episode will add a lot of value and help you in terms of building your dream career. With that, we take a break before we come back with the next episode. So thank you and goodbye.